So when in the first initial lockdown, because obviously I know there's been 3, but in the first one when schools had closed, it was, well, I found it difficult with my other daughter as well, but it was just, what do I do with her at home? She'd only just started school. So it was just, she was supposed to start in the September 2019, but she didn't start her new school until January. So she was barely in the school. And obviously they do ABA therapy, if you're aware of ABA therapy. Mm-hmm. So it was new to me anyway, but obviously I liked that's why we picked the school, because I liked the sound and what we'd read into it. So yeah, we just found it difficult. Like they were saying of what we could try and do with her at home, but obviously Charlotte, in the short space of time she was at school, it was as if she knew the difference between school and home. Yeah. And she knew what she could get away with at home. She knew there's TVs as distractions, iPads as distractions, phones. So we were finding that she was getting a little bit more anxious and irate, because I was then trying to do this, so this work with her, but obviously still trying to homeschool my other daughter, who has the normal maths, English, reading, spellings. So yeah, we found that, I personally found that really difficult. My husband had to continue working full time. Luckily I'm only part-time. So, and we normally would have my parents, like Georgiana and Charlotte's grandparents, as support, but we then, for their like health and safety, and with how serious it was at the beginning, we steer cleared of them and didn't use them for childcare support. So it just felt very sort of alone, and yeah, having these contact with the school, but it was still just, I just kept reverting back to basically what she does at home anyway, and kind of thought my main thing is just to keep her happy and healthy and jolly. Yes, we had, in the first lockdown, we had weather on our side, so we were able to do outdoor play, which she absolutely loves, with sand and water and things like that. But obviously then trying to then sit down and be serious with my other child with, right, we now have to do maths and times table, it was just, yeah, it was all a bit stressful. This time round, it's not been as bad. The school have been brilliant with what they've given us as things to do. And it's also been where they were phoning us weekly as well, where it was just a half an hour call, but it was asking me if I had any difficulties, and we were finding that Charlotte was screaming a lot more when we would take the iPad away from her. So they gave me tips and techniques to, even if it was just waiting for 2 seconds and then building that 2 seconds up, they were giving us tips on that as to how we could try and stop the initial scream fest, which upsets all of us. It upsets Georgiana as well. So yeah, that's been it so far. Charlotte is 5 years old. She's going to be 6 in March. She is non-verbal. She does say certain words. She's grown on her certain words with picture exchange communication that she's been using. So she'll now start to say the I want and a particular item that she might have learned how to say. She got a diagnosis. Well, I knew from about 18 months old that there was something different. From about sort of 10 months to about 18 months, she just regressed in her mama, dada, baba speech from 10 months, onwards. And then she got a diagnosis at about 2.5 years old. She did do a lovely stint in Marlow Opportunity Playgroup, a specialist educational playgroup. And then she's then moved on to a new setting in January of last year. Yeah, definitely, to be honest, because some of the things that the school have said, it's not going to work in a home setting, really, to be honest. Yeah, obviously you don't mind a certain amount of messy play, but you know, you've got then the tidying up to do afterwards. I don't care what state she comes home in from school, to be honest. I'll quite happily put, you know, washing in the washing machine. But obviously I've then got to do the cooking, the cleaning, the, you know, all the regular things that you have to do as a parent anyway. So yeah, what they were sort of saying that could help with Charlotte and her learning, I kind of picked certain bits of it, tried to get my other daughter involved, because then it was like the three of us sort of interacting at the table. But yeah, it was just certain bits I'd picked that I knew that would be easier for me to do, to be honest. I think you definitely just have to take some time away from it. Don't have too much pressure on yourself. Obviously Charlotte is young, so she is still learning through play as such. But yeah, just don't put too much pressure on yourself to try and take some time out for yourself if you can. Obviously I have a husband, so I can say maybe at the weekends I'm just going upstairs for a couple of hours just to, you know, kind of get my head straight and have my own thoughts, because Charlotte can be a very sensory sniffy person around your face, and it can get on your wig some of the time, you know. So yeah, take time for yourself. Just don't have too much pressure on yourself. If you find that something works and you have to do it each day, you know, we were doing matching of mine and Andrew and Georgiana's faces. That's, you know, we were getting her to match them, and I found that was working for us. She was engaged in that 5 minutes, so I tried to do it every day that week, just to, and I thought, well, at least I'm doing something with her. She's still doing her matching of what they do at the school, but it was just matching of our faces instead. Well, when I'm at work, then my husband does the homeschooling for the day. I only just work the one day. It's a long day from 7 o'clock in the morning till 7:30 at night, but my husband has been taking the day off, well, day off as such, working from home on that day. So then he then tries to concentrate on homeschooling. But to be honest, it's so straight. He's got his work to do as well in the background, that we kind of, that's a day that we kind of leave Charlotte to her, not to her own devices, but I try to not put too much pressure on getting Charlotte sorted and then just concentrating on Georgie's basic maths and English. And yeah, just keeping Charlotte happy that day, to be honest. That's my main goal of the when I'm at work, because she is very much a mummy's person, but I just don't want her to get too stressed, and then Andrew to get stressed and Georgiana to get stressed. So just try to keep a happy house, to be honest. I think it's very limited, to be honest, because it's what, you know, we haven't obviously been able to go out very often anyway, but you know, we're still doing sort of the same things. I think what we have tried to really sort of incorporate is the independence in the dressing and things like that. That's what we've tried to concentrate on at home, because obviously in the mornings on a normal school morning you'd be rushing to get them out the door, whereas at home you kind of have that little bit more time. You don't have to be down in the living room for 9:10, you know, and instead of at the school at 9:10. If you're 10 minutes late, you know, it doesn't matter. So we have been trying to concentrate more on the independent things of like activities of daily living. But yeah, we were just trying to sort of, at least if it was her getting from her pajamas into her day clothes, yes, it's not a uniform, but it's still just putting on some leggings and a t-shirt. You know, if she can try and do some of that as independently as possible, then we feel that we've tried to continue that skill at home as such. Not having time away from her, to be honest. It's nice. I know there's obviously school holidays, but it is nice to have that mental break from her, because she is really an energetic, an energetic child. And to not then have the guilt of saying to even my parents, oh, can you just have Charlotte for the morning just so I can go and, you know, do something, you know, whether it's walk around the local shop just for half an hour. You know, a school at the end of the day, yes, I know it's not childcare as such, but it's you know, it's someone else's responsibility just to look after her for a few hours of a day. That, you know, so that's been difficult. What else has been difficult? Well, kind of the sleeping thing has got a little bit worse because there isn't that regular routine of getting up, getting dressed into the uniform, going to school. It was kind of, each day has been merging into one. So we went through a difficult patch of her not even wanting to get out of her pajamas. It was a complete half an hour scream fest of like, well, look, I haven't been anywhere for days, so why am I taking off my pajamas? So that's been difficult as well, of just that there isn't the structured routine to a day as such. And yeah, just I think increased sort of stress amongst myself and my husband as well, because it is stressful just constantly being around each other for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I know he's going to work, you know, Monday to Friday, but it is still stressful. You know, I forget that he's working, but then when he comes home in the evening or at the weekend, I'm like, well, here, can you just mind Charlotte, because you can't obviously leave her for more than 5 seconds without her getting in trouble with something. But he's like, well, I've worked all week, and it is true, he has worked all week, but it's just, I'm like, well, so have I in a way. Do you not think I've not, you know, we've still been trying to work with the homeschooling and things like that. So I think stress levels have definitely gone up a few notches in the lockdown as well. I think just relationship wise, through, because obviously Charlotte mainly has me as such, you know, Monday to Friday, but with Andrew having the time at home as well when I'm at work, with Georgiana being here, yes, it's not easy for Georgiana, but the two of them, when they have been able to play together in a what's more a learning like a learning strategy for Charlotte's then gone to Georgiana, and it's like, well, you come and play with me for a minute, and I'm just like, oh yay, I'm going to get 5 minutes, you know, she's going to play with her sister for once in her life. So yeah, that's been nice, and her relationship that she's built with Daddy as well, because when Daddy's at work, she kind of sometimes doesn't see him throughout the week. You know, he's off before she wakes up sometimes, and then by the time he gets home, she's in bed. So it's been nice that definitely her relationship has grown, and just, well, still have it, you know, it's been nice to still have just literally the family time, you know, even if it's just going out for a walk, which she loves, being out in the outdoors. She loves, you know, outdoors and nature and things. So it, you know, you do realise that you just go back to basics and just have that time with your family, really, which is nice. So yeah, that's been the positives. Maybe maybe when we've been out for walks and things, we've been able to work more on the road safety side of things, which really, like, to be honest, while she's at school, you know, yeah, they do things with her in regards to, you know, teaching her how to, you know, to stop and to go, like when, you know, they're obviously, yeah, just trying to teach her some strategies that we've then been able to do at home, because obviously we've been at home during the day and had the time to go out, so, you know, go out during the day, because obviously by the time we get in from school normally, it would be right, let's get dinner ready, let's do bath, let's do bed. So you don't really kind of have that time to do that. So yeah, we have, I suppose, some safety aspects that she's maybe picked up on a little bit more. She's listening more to words of, you know, stop and wait and things like that, I'd say. I think try to, definitely Monday to Friday, try to be up by a certain time and dressed and downstairs for breakfast. I think we've tried to keep with that sort of routine. But in regards to sitting down at a certain time to do a certain activity, no, definitely not with Charlotte. Obviously, I think schools would support you, like we have had the support from Charlotte's school. My advice would be that if you think, you know, they come out with some brilliant ideas of, you know, what you could do with them, but you just might have to tweak them slightly that's going to work for you at home. And well, yeah, just don't put too much pressure on yourself, but obviously just try and tweak things that are going to work to your schedule. Don't, you know, at the end of the day, your homeschooling for, you know, is a normal day is 9 till 3, but you might not do yours until later on because they might be in a better mood later on, or first thing in the morning might be their good time. So you try and do some bits then, but just not later on. So you just then try and keep them happy and yeah, just safe and happy later on in the day. She is actually going to be returning to school. We've already had that confirmed. So we did get her in a couple of days a week just in this last lockdown towards the end of the term, which was brilliant. She went back there as if she'd never been away, regardless of the fact that it was just 2 days. She still just did it fine. But actually from the 1st of March, she is going to be going back to her school because they've moved to their new site now. So it was always going to be an extended half-term period because they were moving from one site to a new site. So I'm delighted that she is actually going to be going back full-time. I don't know when my other daughter's going to be going back, so it kind of takes the pressure off me to be able to homeschool Georgiana effectively because Charlotte's not there in the background making all the mess and all the noise. Which she has been really quite bad in this lockdown and the first lockdown back in March of 2020. So yes, I'm delighted that she's going back. I'm not going to lie. I just think I just felt that, you know, I would read about certain specialist schools because Charlotte goes to a fully specialist school, and certain specialist schools just carried on as normal. And then some were obviously closed, which Charlotte's was completely. And I think it was just very mixed messages as to which children could go back to school. You know, we were asked the question from Charlotte's school in just a short questionnaire, like, you know, would you want your child to go back to school if she could? Yes, I would. Do you think your child's safety is at risk if they do stay at home with you? Well, no, of course my child's safety isn't going to be a risk. That's our main goal in life, is to keep her safe because she is so vulnerable. So it was a bit of an unfair question that, you know, well, of course her safety is always going to be our number one priority. So just to word it differently as to, you know, how to support us a bit more. And, you know, yes, phone calls home to see how our the well-being and things that, you know, were brilliant, but I think you just did still feel very alone. Definitely in the first lockdown. Obviously the second lockdown they were still technically in school, and then this third lockdown, it definitely has improved the communication, the support, the quicker decisions as to, are we going to be taking some children back into the school environment? Her well-being, definitely. At the end of the day, if you have a happy child, then, you know, you're going to have a happy day at the end of the day. If you're stressing them out too much with trying to sit them down to do these particular activities, and they're not enjoying it, they don't want to do it because they know that their home environment is their home environment and school is school, that why would you stress them out and then stress yourself out and start raising your voice and making the whole situation worse? It's just, so definitely ours has been, if she wants something to eat, she has something to eat. If she wants to do a certain activity, she can do the certain activity. She's still trying to engage with us, which we feel is vital at the moment because of her, you know, the fact that she is non-verbal. So her even communicating slightly with us, we're encouraging that. It's, you know, that's, I think that's our main goal, to be honest. Just going back, just literally just keep them happy and healthy and safe. And, you know, yes, it's been a long time that they haven't been in a schooling education environment, but when they're that young, just don't beat yourself up about it. It's, you know, if they go back healthy and fine, then you've achieved something at the end of the day.